Hello everyone, welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. My name is Danny Burke and this is the Top 10 Scary Vietnamese Urban Legends Part 2. I was so happy to see how many of our Vietnamese fans enjoyed the last video I did. Hopefully I did a good job, maybe I did. I saw a lot of encouraging comments anyway, and so that's why I thought I should return for some more creepy stories from Vietnam. Let's get right into it. Starting off at number 10 now, we have the daughter of Huy Bi Hoa. This is a famous story that comes from Saigon. In 1934, 3 buildings housed the family and businesses of Huy Bi Hoa. He was a real estate magnate who reportedly owned about 20,000 properties in the city. Needless to say, he was very rich. Of these 3 buildings, the main one was the family mansion. His daughter contracted leprosy and was confined to a bedroom on the upper floor for fear of it spreading anymore. See, back then many people believed that leprosy was more of a curse than a disease. Perhaps due to this reputation, the family made an announcement that the girl had suddenly died from a mysterious illness. They quickly arranged a public funeral. The girl was still alive though, her meals being slid under the door. She lived like this for years until the loneliness drove her mad and she took her own life. These days, if you speak to the right people, you can still visit that house. It's now the city's Museum of Art. Visitors swear they see the ghostly figure of the girl roaming the halls of the building. When night comes, they hear the sound of someone crying. It always seems to come from a room on the upper floor. Next up at number 9 now, we have Lich River. This river in Hanoi has always been known as narrow and pretty dirty, but in 2001 it gained a much more sinister reputation. On September 27th, a construction team was dredging the river near An Phai village when they discovered some strange ancient relics. They saw 7 wooden panels buried under the river, positioned so it resembled a polygon from above. There were bones nailed to them, and between the wooden piles they also discovered gold-plated objects, some pottery, elephant bones, knives and copper, all of which the crew pulled up. Then, strange things kept happening to the construction crew. The work was affected when one of the crew mysteriously just plunged into the water, never to be seen again. Then some of the workers present suddenly fell to the ground and remained unconscious for hours. A week after the incident, a series of catastrophic events started to happen to the team and their families, which ranged from accidents to illnesses to death. The remaining workers walked away from the project. They believed it was cursed. A few weeks later, the company invited 4 spiritual experts to the site to help solve the mystery. It was revealed that the items they pulled out were part of a long buried ancient structure guarding the area. A monk was called in to help, but he died a month later from an illness. Scientists were quite stumped as well. A local professor said the skeletons and artifacts were most likely offerings which had now been disturbed, resulting in this powerful curse. The villagers restored the relics and put them back where they found them. Rumor has it the curse has been lifted, at least for now. Next up at number 8 now, we have Room 216. This one comes from a forum user known as Tay Coco. Now he said that in early 2014 he was staying with his wife in a hotel in Saigon. They were staying in room 215 and were woken up at 2:30 in the morning by an argument next door, room 216. Voices shouted, objects were smashed, there was banging on the walls. They heard the door slam and someone run down the stairs. The other person banged the walls a few more times and then out of nowhere tried to get into their room, room 215. They froze on their bed. The banging stopped and then a pouring sound. It sounded like someone was emptying a bucket right outside their door. It was crystal clear. He ran to the door with a bottle in hand, but when he suddenly opened it, there was nobody there. No liquid either. They barely slept that night out of fear. In the morning he went down to the front desk, but they said nobody had been in that room for days. They told them what they saw and heard, but the staff insisted. They argued for a while until the staff member said they suddenly remembered. Another guest had forgotten their keycard and was banging around. They knew he was lying. He looked down in shame. The waitress told them she overheard their conversation and said they weren't the first guest to complain about strange goings on that floor. She told them there were cameras in the hallway. They asked at the front desk and the staff agreed to show them last night's tapes. At 2:30 in the morning, nothing happened for 5 minutes. Then at 2:35, he saw himself open the door of the room and look out into the hallway before going back inside. They were freaked out. They knew they had seen something. What was going on in room 216 and why were the staff trying to hide it? Moving on to number 7 now, we have Lat House. This house has intrigued and scared locals and tourists alike. The large empty villa lies in Vietnam's central highlands. Legend says that it's a ghost house. They said that during the colonial French rule, French soldiers who were stationed in the villa conducted despicable acts against the locals. Their pained souls now remain in the house. Then during America's Vietnam War, an army officer was killed by the Viet Cong. Her wife lived in the house when she heard the news. She was so distraught that she hung herself from the roof, just adding to the energy that was already in this creepy building. In the years since then, there have been stories of people being taken there to be murdered, to the point where shrines have actually been set up to honor the dead, which arguably makes the whole place even creepier. Next up at number 6 now we have Nguyen Minh Khai High School. This high school dates back to over 100 years ago, built during the French colonialization of the country. For many decades, people have talked of the student ghost there. They say it's a girl dressed in a purple owl dye, which is a piece of traditional Vietnamese costume. It's the ghost of a girl who supposedly committed suicide at the highest floor of the clock tower situated in the school center. Rumor has it that an altar to the girl was put somewhere in the school, but its location is closely guarded. That may be because of the strange goings on around the school. Students often report seeing the purple ghost along with strange lights at night and weird noises coming from the rooftop. Recently, the school made major renovation changes to the building, which seems to have curbed the ghostly sightings, at least for now. Moving on to number 5 now, we have the footprints. This one was shared by a forum user known as STRWRZ. Now, he said that he was born in Australia but would often visit his family in Vietnam. On one such trip, he was staying with his great auntie. Her house was behind a riverbank and got quite cold at night. One day, his parents and siblings went to a relative's grave to pray. He chose to stay at home because he was ill and it was hot outside. He was watching TV with his great aunt. She was falling asleep when suddenly she sat bolt upright. He asked her what was wrong. She said she had just seen someone walk through the front door and go upstairs. He thought she was seeing things and didn't really give it much thought. That night, he and his siblings shared a room upstairs. He found it quite hard to sleep, and every time he did, he would wake up anyway. On the 4th attempt, he woke up and decided to get some fresh air. When he was done, he walked through the front door of the house and saw a little girl running up the last few steps of the stairs. He was shocked. When he got up to the top of the stairs, there was a pair of wet footprints outside of the room they were sleeping in. There were no footprints leading out either. In the morning, his sister told him that every time she had fallen asleep, she kept dreaming of a little girl opening the bedroom door and just standing there until she would get scared and wake up. They asked some neighbors who told them that the owners of the nearby farm lost their daughter in flash floods a few years ago. For them, that was settled. They had seen her ghost and she had definitely seen them. Next up at number 4 now, we have the delivery. In this story, a young girl visits a store called Big C Hai Phong. She orders a refrigerator for her house and tells them to deliver it. A little while later, the delivery man takes the refrigerator to her house and knocks on the door. An old woman opens the door. She says there must be some mistake. She refuses to take the refrigerator and said that nobody here ordered that. Naturally, the delivery man is confused. He takes out his delivery note and shows it to the woman. She scans the paper and looks at the name, age and address of the girl on the receipt. Suddenly, she bursts into tears. It was the name of her daughter who had died months before in a traffic accident. The delivery man went back to the store and confronted the person who took the order. He thought they were just fooling around with him. The cashier swore the girl was real though. He even produced the exact amount of money used in the transaction. Proof, he said, that the girl had bought the refrigerator her mother so desperately needed. Next up at number 3 now, we have Ho Da. In English, this place is called Stone Lake. Many first-time visitors report an uncomfortable, spooky feeling when they first arrive, and there may be something to that. Although it may seem pristine on the surface, some locals warn against swimming there, saying it's cursed. There have been an unusually high number of deaths there. In a 5-year period, more than 24 people were found dead at the lake, far higher than you'd normally expect. Some say it's a dangerous hangout spot, that the cliffs are very high and the water very deep. Others disagree though. They say that death in this number must be the work of the paranormal. They say the lake is haunted and a malevolent spirit is pulling people to their watery graves. Next up at number 2 now, we have the organs. In 2009, a rumor began spreading around Vietnam that police had found a grave of 7 children in Gia Lam. The bodies had no organs in them. Legend says that some people were going around and killing kids on the street in order to harvest their organs and sell them. One mother who was interviewed by the media said she always went out alone to have breakfast, but since the discovery of the grave, she decided to always take her children with her, even though their home was about 150 meters away. She wasn't alone in this fear. Some communities are now acutely aware of these gruesome murders. They may not be true, but they probably tell you to be better safe than sorry. And finally, number 1 now, we have the Rock Ape. This one comes from a book written by Craig P.J. Jorgensen. He was a Vietnam veteran who told a scary story from the 6-man unit that he was in during the war. One day, they were taking a break after a hike through the jungle with their heavy backpacks. As they rested, they felt a strange presence in the jungle around them. Everything seemed quiet. to use the old cliche, too quiet. Then some trees about 15 yards away began shaking violently. At first, they thought it was the enemy. The soldiers readied their weapons and waited. However, instead of enemy soldiers, a head emerged from the trees. It was oblong with a face covered in reddish hair. It had a huge mouth, dark, deep-set eyes. No, it wasn't me. The startled soldiers watched the rest of the body step forward. A 5-foot-tall, muscular creature stood there on 2 feet, carefully watching the men. Now at first they thought it must be some sort of very big orangutan, but then one of them pointed out that orangutans don't live in Vietnam. As they argued about what exactly it was, the creature slinked back into the jungle. Well guys, those were some more scary stories from the fascinating country that is Vietnam. My brother lived there for about 6 months and he absolutely loved it. Maybe I've mentioned that in the last one, whatever. The more I hear about Vietnam, the more I want to visit it myself, maybe even visit some of these scary places, who knows? All I know is to thank you, as always, for watching. My name is Danny Burke and I will see you all in the next video.